Africa. In Africa, mermaids are often referred to as Mami Wata or Mamba Muntu, which means mother of the water. These are names that are typically also used interchangeably where those of the African diaspora live, such as the Caribbean, North America, and South America. Here, these mermaids often serve as pillars of African spiritualities. In the 1500s, when European ships with depictions of mermaids carved onto their prows invaded Africa, a lot of the Africans associated their arrival as an association with their water deity Mami Wata and thought they were good omens. It's ironic, however, that Europeans see mermaids typically as bad omens. That is why their former European name for mermaids, which is siren, is used today in English as a warning, or omen if you may. In Zimbabwe, a Bantu ethnic group called the Shona consists of a culture where mermaids are called Njuzu. Each Njuzu belongs to one body of water, and each Njuzu is different and has their own characteristics and personality. Njuzus are described as beautiful water spirits that lure people she finds interesting to her underwater realm. They are known to capture both men and women. If a person goes missing near a lake or river, it is to be believed that they have been taken by the Njuzu that resides there. It is said that the Njuzu lure people to them by means of not only their physical looks appearing as a woman in a body of water, but also through dreams, oracles, and omens, where they show you that you need to be initiated to receive their protection, wisdom, and guidance. The Njuzu bring much success and wealth as well as wisdom to their children who are called Nanga. And once initiated, you are a child of Njuzu for life. A lot of people who have been contacted by the Njuzu say they had dreams of animals or dreams of having their homes flooded, of being drowned, or bathed by mermaids or visiting underwater palaces. Quick side note, do you realize how the word Nanga looks and sound a lot like Naga, the name that is given to Asian mermaids? It is said the Njuzu initially treats her captives harshly, but that in nature they are not cruel beings. It is said to only be a test to see how the person reacts and behaves. With that being said, the person must accomplish whatever the Njuzu asks, and the captive must eat whatever is offered, otherwise, they will never be allowed to return home. First, the Njuzu gives food that the captive will typically not eat, such as mud and insects, and this can go on for weeks. If the captive passes, the food given becomes more humane and desirable. If all tests are passed, she takes on her captive as an apprentice and passes her wisdom of healing on to them. It is said if the apprentice passes, she sends them home with a basket of magical medicines. This process can take a year or longer, and while in captivity, the captive's family must bear offerings in the form of brewed beer, and loved ones must sing traditional songs to the Njuzu for the person's return. During this time also, loved ones must not cry and should carry on as if they absolutely know for a fact that their missing loved one is not dead but with the Njuzu. If the Njuzu releases the person, this person becomes known as a Nanga. Nangas are herbal healers, also known as witch doctors, as they have traveled between the physical and spiritual worlds. The idea of people being able to be kept alive underwater by the Njuzu is a contributing factor in why today many believe that Africans in the Middle Passage that were thrown or jumped into the Atlantic Ocean during slavery became water spirits instead of dying. A lot of people believe the mermaids they see in the lands of the African diaspora are our ancestors. Then there's the Jingu, or plurally called Miengu, who are mermaid-like figures of Cameroon who are said to be beautiful with long, woolly hair and gap-toothed smiles, living in the rivers and seas. They are said to bring good fortune to those who worship them. In Brazil, the mermaid in folklore is referred to as Iara, who is a freshwater mermaid with green hair and light skin that sits upon a rock by the river combing her hair and dozing under the sun. She sings to men to lure them to her so he can live out his life with her under the sea. Being taken by an Iara isn't considered a bad thing, however, because She is very easy on the eyes and very catering to her lover's every need and want. It's actually pretty sad considering the fact that Yaras are immortal, unlike their lovers who will eventually die. The Arawak or Neo-Taino people in this instance once recognized a mermaid named Akaya who was known as being seductive and sexually generous. Akaya was a deity that was the incarnation of beauty and sin who would pleasure men but then rob them of their free will. The story is that she was one of seven lustful sisters, and she was exiled to the sea and changed into a mermaid as punishment for her whorish ways. Thus, the reason she is the symbol of sin, the sin of beauty, art, and love. In the Caribbean, these mermaids are often recognized as loas or la sirens, who represent wealth and beauty and are associated with Yamaya, who is a Yoruban Orisha. Yamaya is often depicted as a black mermaid and is the guardian of woman and is often worshipped at bodies of water, especially on Saturdays. The funny thing here is Yamaya is Ocean's sister, and Voodoo has been around much longer than the English language and the Englishmen who named the bodies of waters. So, despite the etymology of the word ocean, Ocean, in Webster, I feel like I know the word ocean derived from ocean, Oshun, who is a freshwater deity who often works in conjunction with her sister. The sighting and stories of Africa and the African diaspora are particularly the stories that I gravitate most towards because of the obvious, but also because of how modern and plentiful these sightings are. The recent thread transformed this from just being another folklore to me to being able to actually speak with people who had interactions with these beings. Of course, people can make things up, but again, every myth and legend and folklore is based off of some kind of truth, rather big or small. And the fact that the story of the mermaid and their appearance and actions has a similar thread throughout the times and throughout different cultures and regions across the world at both the same time and different times tells me that this is one of those things that just has to be real because there is no way. And now here we are in 2020, and we have a swarm of people from the Caribbean telling their personal and intermediate family accounts of mermaids, with the majority of them coming from Haiti, who actually shares an island with the Dominican Republic, whose waters genocidal Christopher Columbus was in when he saw mermaids. We have Christopher Columbus on January 9th, 1493, on his way to pillage the Arawak Indians, aka the Aboriginals of the Dominican Republic, when he spots three sirens, which he noted weren't beautiful as stories told and were in fact short, ugly, and masculine. And apparently, he was not shocked about his encounter here because he noted that he had seen mermaids before in Guinea on the coast of Maniqueta. Then we have Henry Hudson, who the Hudson Bay is named after, and he was exploring the area in 1608 when he jotted in his logbook that his crew had spotted a mermaid swimming alongside the ship, and they claimed that from the navel up, her back and breasts were like a woman's, but when she dove under the water, they saw her tail, which was like that of a porpoise. Then we have Captain John Smith, who you watching this probably remember from the movie Pocahontas, best known for establishing the first American colony called Jamestown in Virginia. Evidently, before the whole Pocahontas and smallpox deal in 1611, he was sailing off the coast of the West Indies, the same waters Christopher Columbus was in, when he saw a woman, and I quote, swimming with all possible grace, who despite her long green hair was by no means unattractive. And then he observed that from the stomach the woman gave way to the fish, as the lovely siren slipped away. And then we have Blackbeard, who was very cautious of enchanted waters due to previously seeing mermaids himself. Remember, Europeans believed mermaids were bad omens, so they wanted to avoid these creatures at all possible costs. Mermaids were also reported being seen near Vancouver and Victoria, Canada in the late 1800s, and again in 1967. Then In August 2009, multiple sightings were reported of a mermaid at Harifa Bay. Then in February 2012, another sighting reported in Zimbabwe caused workers on a reservoir to refuse to continue working. This incident was reported by the Water Resources Minister himself, Samuel Sepepa Nkomo. Common themes amongst various cultures throughout time and present day is that mermaids are not beautiful creatures like many cultures are led to believe based on their own culture's folklores and tales. These people who reportedly saw mermaids either described them as having lower body parts resembling that of a fish or that of serpents. Mermaids in most cultures are respected creatures who were good unless mistreated or captured. Although seen by Europeans as bad luck, in other cultures they seem to be warning people to benefit them. Many historians claim that previous historic sightings of mermaids were most likely manatees, but I cannot for the life of me understand that mix up, even taking into consideration that these people may have been drunk. I often even find it offensive when people say such things because although our ancestors were not as advanced as us today, they certainly were not stupid. And with many of them seeing these creatures close up, I find it hard to believe they mistook a manatee with a creature that has a human body for the top half of its body. What I do find interesting is that both in Asia and Africa, mermaids were often depicted as full on snakes who were protectors or guardians and known as being plentiful in knowledge. Even today, when they go into tombs in the pyramids, they find snakes around the treasures or the graves. And even in India and different parts of Asia, they still use snakes to protect their treasures. In Greek mythology, mermaids were also associated with being seductive, but not physically, but in the sense of mentally seducing because they possessed knowledge. I did not even expect my research to take me into this, and this may sound like a stretch to some, but I know you remember that snake that was in the Garden of Eden in the Christian Bible that guarded the tree of what? The tree of knowledge. That snake did not lure Adam and Eve in with beauty. It lured them in with the promise of knowledge. It's like loads of people in the desert seeing the same mirage. What are the chances of that? I mean, yes, there are many accounts of people throughout history seeing mermaids. Yes, a lot of things back then didn't have names yet or hadn't been properly broken down and scientifically proven. But this doesn't make those people stupid by any means. And if they were simply drawing what they saw or describing what they saw, a manatee's body close up looks nothing like what was described and drawn at various times. It's crazy. These cultures were describing, drawing, and writing about the same exact creature, despite the fact they had no contact with each other. Also, the fact that the Discovery Channel did a special episode based on mermaids that made it onto CNN to be debunked, and the fact that they were forced to remove the program from television says a lot because why was this such a big deal if they are just made up creatures of folklore, mythology, and fantasy? Also, remember, big fact, according to National Ocean Services, only 5% of Earth's oceans has been explored and charted. We have basically, but literally, only touched the surface, and not even all of that. The rest of the waters are noted as being mostly undiscovered and unseen by humans. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? Considering all the technology and advancements we've made. The fact is, we know more than humans used to, but we still barely know anything about our own planet and the majority of our oceans. The oceans equate to 70% of our planet, meaning a large 65% of our planet is still undiscovered. Satellite images can only be used to study the surface of the ocean, and we can only chart plant life and water levels on the surface with our technology so far. With space exploration, scientists can at least see everything in front of them, but light does not penetrate the deep blue seas. After 200 meters, lighting significantly drops and imaging is made difficult and then non existent. Besides, not being able to see the ocean, the fact that the pressure of the ocean will literally crush humans and our developed technology so far makes it a lot harder. Then comes the temperatures. It's cold and very dark. So, between the darkness, bone crushing pressure, and ghastly cold temperatures, it's seriously easier to go outer space than it is to go to the bottom of the deepest part of our planet's ocean. Scientists say we've explored 4% of the visible universe. And I find that crazy because our planet is inside of space, yet we have explored only 1% more of it than the space outside our planet itself. We have no idea what is in our waters or how deep our waters are. We've only discovered the surface animals and bottom feeders of waters that aren't deep. What lies below the surface? What are the bottom feeders like in the deepest part of the oceans around the world? Mermaids could very well be inhabitants of the deepest parts of the oceans as they have been noted in various cultures to reside in the underworld and its waters. Have they grown to hate humans or avoid humans due to past encounters where humans saw them as evil without understanding them? Or the fact that some humans hunted them for treasure, glory, and immortality? You see it all the time in the movies. The entity or person who is fronted as the bad person, such as the evil spirit, the evil creature, actually turns out to be a part of a society of creatures who fear humans due to previous interaction with them. A lot of the times in these movies, these creatures and humans once lived in harmony together until humans got greedy. And despite the creatures being mystical, they retreated after the humans ambushed and killed most of their kind for whatever reason. Is that what this is? Where did that theme in movies even come from? Is this the reason old heads say you don't go above or below earth? In this generation, we are literally left with the crumbs of these stories and the tea on where they come from. I assume that this is the way the old heads wanted it. Where I'm from, I've come to find that there is a lot of information that our ancestors did not want to pass down, as if they wanted it to be forgotten, seemingly as it would be best left unknown for all parties involved. Is this one of those things? With these movies, are they even hiding the truth in plain sight and just labeling them as fantasy so we don't even think twice about them? Then the fact that real life mermaids are said to be completely opposite of the fictional characters we see on TV, this just makes me believe that they are real even more. I always think about how in Men in Black, how Robert De Niro told Will Smith that they didn't let everyday humans know about the dangers they were in every second or the creatures that existed because of the panic it would cause. Then I look at what happens when a hurricane is even rumored to be on the way, or how when a virus like this coronavirus breaks out, you see the panic that occurs, even when facts are provided and the means to survive are provided. All common sense and decency gets completely disregarded as this panic takes over the masses. And then I get why people who are powerful hidden figures might want to hush such a thing. And it also explains why our ancestors hid such information from us. Knowledge can be the root of all evil as well, and maybe in the past it created utter chaos between us and them. It makes me wonder if there could have been an ancient treaty between that of the mermaids and creatures of the abyss and us surface creatures and humans. Some things are, perhaps, best left unknown. For more discussions of conspiracy theories or odd and unusual things that happen on this planet or in outer space or anywhere, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will not let you down. Also, what are some conspiracy theories you would like for me to talk about? Because I've heard a lot, but obviously I haven't heard them all. Please comment down below and let me know.